Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in life when the weight of the world feels unbearable, when the light that once guided us seems to have dimmed, leaving us stumbling in the shadows of our own minds. Depression is a word we hear often, but a battle too many fight in silence. It whispers doubts into our ears, wraps us in chains of despair, and convinces us that the struggle will never end. But let me tell you something, those chains, they are not unbreakable. That whisper, it does not speak the truth. Deep within you lies a strength, a flicker of hope waiting to ignite, a voice that has been overshadowed but never silenced. That voice is your courage. That spark is your resilience. Life, in all its chaos and uncertainty, is not defined by the dark moments but by the light we create within them. Each day you wake up, take a breath, and rise. That is proof of your power. It's not about climbing mountains in a single leap. It's about taking one step, no matter how small, toward healing. Lean on the people who love you, and never be afraid to speak your truth. Vulnerability is not a weakness, it is a bridge to connection, a path to understanding. And if there are days when you feel alone, know this: you are not. The world may seem vast and cold, but there are countless hearts out there, like yours, beating through the same storm. Do not underestimate the simple things: the sunlight streaming through a window, the laughter of a child, the rhythm of your favorite song. These are not trivial, they are reminders of what is good, what is real, and what is worth fighting for. When the weight feels too much, remember that even the darkest nights must give way to dawn. Depression might try to define you, but it will never have the final say. You will. So rise, step forward, and take back your story. The light is within you, and it's time to let it shine. Keep going. You are stronger than you know. The darkness can feel all-consuming, can't it? Like a heavy fog that clings to you, clouding your thoughts, whispering that this is all there is, and this is all there ever will be. But here's a truth that you must hold on to. Even when the night feels endless, the strength you seek is already inside you. It's not always loud, not always roaring like a mighty storm. Sometimes it's a quiet whisper, a flicker of light buried deep within the shadows. But it's there. That strength is the part of you that gets up when staying in bed feels easier, the part that reaches out for help when silence seems safer. It's in the tears you let fall, in the breaths you keep taking, in the moments you choose to keep going, even when the weight feels unbearable. That strength has been with you from the very beginning, through every hardship, every battle you thought you'd never overcome. It's the reason you're here, listening now, still fighting, still hoping, even if only just a little. The tiny spark inside of you, no matter how faint, is proof that you are not broken, that you are capable of enduring and rising again. So when the world feels heavy, when the whispers of despair grow louder, remember this: you have faced storms before and emerged on the other side. You are stronger than the darkness, stronger than the lies it tells you. Your strength may not always look like victory, but it looks like resilience. And that resilience is your greatest weapon. There is a quiet truth that often goes unnoticed: everything you need to endure, to persevere, and to thrive is already within you. You may not feel it now. You may doubt its existence, but let me assure you it is there. Strength does not always roar like a lion. Sometimes it's the soft, steady beat of your heart as it carries you through the pain. It's not the absence of fear or struggle, but the will to face them head on, even when your knees buckle under the weight. That strength may show up in the smallest ways: a breath you didn't think you could take, a step forward on a day when standing felt impossible. You see, life has a way of testing us. It pushes and pulls, wears us down, and dares us to rise again. And yet you do. Every time you think you've reached your limit, you find a way, perhaps not with ease, perhaps not without scars, but you find a way. That isn't weakness. That isn't luck. That is your strength. It's in the choices you make, even in your darkest hours. The choice to keep moving, to hold on, to believe, even for a fleeting moment, that things can change. That belief, no matter how fragile it may feel, is your power. It's the seed of something greater, the spark that will one day become a fire. So trust in it. Trust in yourself. You are not defined by the darkness you face, but by the strength you bring to it. And that strength, quiet, steady, and unyielding, is more powerful than you know. Life has a way of throwing us into the depths, doesn't it? Moments when the weight feels too heavy and the road ahead seems too steep. But let me tell you something about those moments. They are not the end. They are the beginning of something greater. Because life in all its chaos is not about the darkness that surrounds you. It's about the light you create within it. You see, life will never be free of challenges. The storms will come, the winds will howl, and there will be times when it feels like you're barely holding on. But even in the eye of the storm, there is calm. Even in the darkest night, there is a star somewhere, shining just for you. It may not be easy to find, but it's there. And when you begin to see it, you realize that the power to move forward doesn't come from waiting for the storm to pass. It comes from learning how to dance in the rain. The light you seek isn't some grand, unreachable beacon. It's in the little things you do, the small victories you claim along the way. It's in every step forward, no matter how unsteady, and in every decision to keep going, even when giving up feels like the simpler choice. That light is built from your courage, your resilience, your refusal to let the darkness win. And let me tell you something else, this light isn't just for the good times. It's for the hardest of days, the moments when you feel you have nothing left to give. That's when it matters most. Because when you find that light within yourself, you become unstoppable. The world around you may not change overnight, but you will. And that change, that strength, is what carries you through. So remember, your life is not defined by the shadows. It is defined by the light you choose to bring to them. And that light, it's in you. Always. Sometimes the weight of it all can feel like too much to bear. The mountain in front of you seems insurmountable, and the journey ahead stretches endlessly into the unknown. In those moments, it's tempting to believe that the only way forward is a giant leap, a heroic effort that fixes everything at once. But life doesn't work that way. It's not about leaps, it's about steps. Small, deliberate steps. Progress doesn't always come wrapped in grand gestures or instant transformations. More often, it's found in the quiet persistence of putting one foot in front of the other. It's in the smallest victories, getting out of bed on a hard day, taking a moment to breathe, or reaching out for help when it feels like the last thing you want to do. These steps may seem insignificant, but they are anything but. Every step forward is a statement, a defiance against the voice in your head that says you can't. Each one, no matter how small, carries you closer to where you want to be. And yes, there will be days when you stumble, when it feels like you're moving backward instead of forward. But even those days are part of the journey. They are not failures, they are proof that you're still in the fight. Progress is not a straight line. It's a winding road with peaks and valleys, but every step you take matters. It builds momentum, strengthens your resolve, and shows you what you're capable of. Over time, those small steps add up. They become the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. So don't be discouraged by the size of the mountain. Focus on the next step, no matter how small. And then the next. And the next. Because every step forward is progress, and progress, no matter how slow, is still movement toward the light. You are moving forward even when it doesn't feel like it. And that is how you climb the mountain. One step at a time. In life, we often feel pressured to fix everything all at once, to conquer every challenge in a single stride. But the truth is, life doesn't demand giant leaps, it asks for small, steady steps. Progress is not found in perfection or speed, but in the simple act of moving forward, even if just an inch at a time. When the weight of the world presses down on you, it can seem like progress is impossible, like the distance between where you are and where you want to be is too vast. But progress isn't about reaching the summit in a single bound, it's about focusing on the next step. Just one. And then another. These steps may seem insignificant, but they carry immense power. Standing up on a day when lying down feels easier is a victory. Choosing to breathe, to try, to hope, even when it feels futile, is an act of courage. Each of these moments is a step forward, no matter how small. And those steps, they begin to add up. Progress isn't always linear. It's messy and unpredictable. There will be times when you stumble, when you feel like you've taken 2 steps back for every step forward. But even those moments hold value, for they remind you that you're still moving. And moving, no matter how slowly, is progress. When you focus on the small steps, you take the pressure off. You allow yourself to grow in ways that are sustainable and true. Each step builds upon the last, strengthening your foundation, until one day you look back and realize how far you've come. So don't measure your journey by how fast you move or how far you've gone. Measure it by the courage it takes to take that next step, no matter how small. Because in the end, progress is not about speed. It's about persistence. And as long as you keep moving, you are winning the fight. One step at a time. There's a truth that often feels too heavy to face, but holds the power to set us free. We cannot face life's battles alone. There's no shame in reaching out, no weakness in saying, I need help. In fact, it's one of the bravest things a person can do. When life feels overwhelming, we tend to retreat inward, building walls around our pain as if isolation will protect us. But those walls do not shield us, they imprison us. The more we keep our struggles to ourselves, the heavier they become. Yet when we share that weight, even just a little, something remarkable happens. It begins to lighten. The people around you, family, friends, or even someone you barely know but who listens with compassion, are not there by accident. They are lifelines. Their hands may not be able to take all your burdens, but they can steady you as you carry them. They remind you that you don't have to face the storm alone, that your struggles are not too much to bear when shared. Opening up can feel like standing on the edge of a cliff, vulnerable and exposed. But vulnerability is not a sign of weakness. It is an act of trust, a leap of faith that others will catch you when you fall. And more often than not, they will. Because in your openness, you give others permission to be open too. You create a bridge of understanding, a bond that grows stronger with every honest word. No one is an island. We are meant to lean on each other, to find strength in connection. So when the darkness feels unbearable, when the weight of it all presses down too hard, don't hesitate to reach out. Speak your truth, even if your voice shakes. Let others in, not to fix you, but to walk beside you. Because together we are stronger, and in that togetherness we find hope. In the silence of our struggles, it's easy to believe we're the only ones walking this path. Pain has a way of isolating us, convincing us that no one could possibly understand the weight we carry. But let me tell you something that might just change how you see the world. You are not alone. There are countless others out there, quietly fighting battles that look a lot like yours. Their pain may wear a different face, but at its core, it is the same. That shared experience connects us in ways we often overlook. It means that your struggles, no matter how unique they feel, are part of a larger story, a human story. And in that story, none of us are ever truly alone. It takes courage to recognize this, to step out of the shadows and into the light of connection. When you do, you might find that the very thing you thought isolated you is what binds you to others. You might hear someone say, "I understand," and realize they mean it. That realization, simple as it may seem, is profound. It reminds you that your pain is not a weakness but a thread in the fabric of shared humanity. Knowing you are not alone doesn't erase the struggle, but it shifts something deep within. It gives you permission to feel what you feel without shame. It reminds you that there is strength in numbers, that others have faced this storm and emerged on the other side, and so can you. So, if you feel lost or disconnected, remember this: there are people out there who care, who will listen, who will walk beside you without judgment. You don't have to carry this burden by yourself. Somewhere, someone is waiting to remind you that you are not alone in this fight, and that truth is a light in even the darkest moments. There is a quiet power in the simplest moments, the kind we often overlook when life feels heavy. In the rush of our days, in the depths of our struggles, we forget to notice the small joys: the sunlight streaming through the trees, the laughter of a stranger, the comforting rhythm of a favorite song. But these moments, as fleeting as they may seem, hold the key to something profound. You see, life isn't just made of grand milestones or earth-shattering revelations. It's stitched together by the little things, the tiny sparks of joy that remind us what it means to be alive. When everything feels overwhelming, these small moments are your anchor. They don't ask much of you. They simply offer themselves as a quiet reminder that there is still beauty in the world, even in the midst of pain. That beauty isn't always obvious. Sometimes it's hidden, waiting for you to seek it out. But when you pause long enough to feel the warmth of the sun on your face or hear the melody of the wind through the trees, you begin to remember something important: the world is still here. And within it, so are you. These simple joys are not insignificant. They are proof that life, even when it feels unbearable, still holds something worth cherishing. They are moments of connection, of grounding, of hope. They whisper to you in their own gentle way, saying, "Hold on a little longer. There's still more to see, to feel, to experience." So when the darkness feels all-encompassing, let yourself find solace in the small things. Let them remind you that even the tiniest flicker of light can push back the shadows. These moments are not just distractions, they are gifts. And in noticing them, you begin to find your way back to the present, back to yourself, and back to life. There are times when it feels like the darkness will never end, when the weight of the world presses so heavily that the idea of a brighter tomorrow seems more like a distant dream than a reality. But here's the thing: the night, no matter how long or how dark, is always followed by the dawn. It's a law of nature, a promise that's been kept since time began. The darkness may seem unrelenting, but it's only temporary. Just as the sun sets, it will rise again. And even in your deepest moments of despair, there is an unspoken assurance that the light is coming. You might not see it now, you might not feel it, but it's there, just waiting for the moment to break through. That light isn't always immediate. Sometimes it takes time for you to heal, time for the storm to pass, time for your heart to remember what hope feels like. But it is always there, just on the horizon, ready to fill your life with warmth once again. When you're in the thick of it, it's hard to imagine the light returning. But know this: the very nature of life is change. The seasons shift, the rain gives way to the sun, the night surrenders to the day. And you too will change. You will find yourself rising from the ashes of your despair, stronger than before. Because the darkness you've endured will become a part of you, a reminder of how far you've come. You might feel lost right now, but that's only because you're in the midst of the night. The dawn is closer than you think. Just keep going, one step at a time, trusting that the light will find you again. And when it does, you'll know it for what it is: the promise that even in the hardest moments, there is always the possibility of a new beginning. So hold on. The dawn is coming. We often let the hardest moments define us, letting the weight of our struggles tell the story of who we are. But here's the truth you need to hear: your story is still yours to write. Whatever you faced, however dark the road may seem, you have the power to rewrite the narrative. It's easy to get lost in the depths of pain, to feel like it will always be this way, that the struggle will never end. But the essence of who you are, your strength, your resilience, your ability to love and to grow is far greater than any chapter of difficulty you are living through. These moments, as painful as they are just that, moments. And moments pass. You are not defined by the hardships that come your way, no matter how consuming they may feel in the present. You are defined by how you choose to respond to them. Every time you get up, every time you take another step forward, no matter how small, you are rewriting your story. You are choosing to be the hero of your own life, not by avoiding the darkness, but by walking through it with the strength that is already inside you. That strength, that choice to keep moving, is what truly shapes who you are. It's not the hardships you face that determine your worth, but the way you rise after each fall, the way you embrace the journey, no matter how uncertain it may seem. You are not just surviving, you are building something. You are becoming the person you are meant to be. Your story is not finished, it's still unfolding. And with every new day, you have the chance to write another chapter. So when the weight of your struggles feels overwhelming, remember that they are just a part of the story. The ending is not yet written, and you hold the pen. Keep writing, keep believing, because the greatest parts of your story are still ahead of you. There are days when the journey seems endless, when every step feels like it's dragging you deeper into the unknown. But here's the thing you must remember: persistence is your ally. The road ahead may be rough, and the challenges may seem insurmountable, but the act of simply moving forward is powerful. Even when you feel like you're getting nowhere, you're still making progress. Every breath you take, every decision to keep going, no matter how small, is part of your victory. The battle is not won in grand gestures, it's won in the quiet moments when you choose to rise, when you refuse to surrender to the weight of the world. It's not the size of the leap you take, it's the courage in the next step, even when you're unsure if you can take it. There will be times when you stumble. There will be times when it feels like everything you've worked for is slipping away. But even in those moments, remember that falling doesn't mean failure. It means you've had the courage to try. You've been willing to reach for something greater than what you've known. And that alone is something worth celebrating. In the face of darkness, it's easy to want to give up, to believe that the light is out of reach. But the light is always there. Sometimes you just need to trust that it's coming, even if you can't see it yet. The toughest battles are often the ones that bring the greatest rewards, but you'll never know the outcome if you stop fighting. So when you feel yourself faltering, when the road seems too long and the end too far away, remember that persistence is your greatest tool. Keep moving forward. Keep believing in yourself. The path will not always be smooth, but every step, every effort, every ounce of strength you put into it brings you closer to something beautiful. The power doesn't lie in waiting for things to change. The power lies in your ability to keep moving, to trust in the process, and to honor every step, no matter how difficult it may seem. Because in the end, it's the people who keep going, the ones who don't give up, who see the light at the end of the tunnel. And that light, it's worth the journey.